Welcome back, everybody. If you're in Nova Scotia like me and in the provinces of Canada, it's a long weekend. And believe it or not, we had the fireplace on today because it was 5 degrees outside this morning. Kind of chilly. But this is also the time that I start to lay out for the month ahead my grand tableau. And I thought I might as well include you guys with it. It's It is a grand tableau, but I'm using it on this plexiglass sheet here. And there's a way that I lay them down, and I don't sort of unfold or unwrap all the cards at once when I lay it out, because I do it week by week. And then I check in to see how I'm doing. And I have a sheet that I'm using here that I record and write information on as the week goes by, because I want to see what's correct in my interpretations and what is not, and what is surprising. And I also will show you what I'm putting it on, because that has proved to be a nice process that I can look back on. Now, I am using the Easy Lenormand, and as you can see, it's by Katz and Tali Goodwin. It is still available on Amazon. I saw it there this morning for about 34 bucks. Comes with cards and with the book. Now, there are different ways of laying out the tableau. There is one right there, the Grand Tableau Master. And mine, though, is a little bit different and comfortable for me. It is the 8 by 4 plus 4. So everybody's got their own method. I'm doing the best I can with the lighting today, because I say it's chilly and the lighting is not fantastic today, but I've got to get this laid out. Now, my cards, I did cut them down. I took the borders off, and some of them got embellished. Under the ship, there's a little bit more blue. Let's just see. Oh, yes, I wanted to be able to see the clouds better than what was in the card. So one side of the card would be moving away from difficulties, and this one, the darker side, would be surrounding and showing me the cards where the difficulties were. Let's just see. My scythe got a little bit of extra black and silver on it to make it stand out. Let's just see. Oh, I couldn't see the stars well enough on that, so I enhanced the sky and put some actual stars on. The stork got a little bit more blue. And as you can see, just little touches here and there to make it work for me. Like the sun needed a few more rays, and the moon I needed to see. But putting that aside, let's move on. So we don't need the box. This is, I believe, for people who do an awful lot of accounting, one of these pads, and I got it cheap at a thrift store. And when I saw all the space I had, I must have been working on Lenormand at the time, I decided it's a good way for me to record and would still give me space for a few words as to what was going on with the cards. As you can see, I highlight the first 3 cards because that's the theme. I still use that I found in one of the books. And I do look at the 4 corners, and my extra 4 cards down here I call the verdict. Now, I did emphasize some of this in here because that is the heart of the spread. But down here you'll see, if I zoom in, that gives you a better idea of what I'm doing. Just, it works for me, that's all I'm saying. Down here at the bottom, you're going to see I've divided the month of July up across here. These 2 columns will represent information I can gather for the first week of July. These 2 next to it will be the second week. This will be the third, these 2, and this will be the 4th. I do include the extra 4 cards here in the 8 by 4 by 4 as part of this week and this week, but I also look then at the finale to see what the verdict is. And I'll write down on the bottom here the theme, just a sentence, few words, and I'll look at the heart of the spread and write down some sentences in here. Now, when I lay the cards out, as I say, I don't turn all these over at once. I'll turn these over, I'll turn the four corners over, and I'll look at the heart of the spread. But then I'll come back to this, because this is the week I'm going to be concentrating on, the 1st to the 7th. So all of these cards in these 2 rows will get turned over. And I'll make sentences reading them vertically and in pairs. And sometimes I even look at these as, okay, the clover and the rider can represent corners. And I'll bring that in. I'll see if this one is talking to this one, for instance. And let's just start laying out some of the cards so that you can see what I do. And when I'm going through it week by week, if some of the predictions I have made because of the cards or the sentences that have come together are correct, I'll put a bold check mark. If it's incorrect, I put X's. And then I'll come back to it and see, but I'll also write in my book what works, what doesn't work, where I was correct, where I was absolutely bonkers and wrong. So we're going to take this away, and this is a sheet of plexiglass. I'll zoom back out. So this is how I can lay the cards in the divisions, and when they're laid out, I have another sheet of plexi I can put on top so that no one can knock the cards over and they're more stable. But I'm going to pause because I'm going to shuffle the cards and begin to lay them out. Okay, the cards are shuffled, so they're going down. Those first 3 will be the theme for July. And I would love it if anyone sees anything in the cards that speak to them about how my month is going to be happening. I would love it to hear those words. I have put out there that I want the information to be easy to understand for me, clear. I've also put out that the man and woman card, the man represents my husband, the woman myself. And here are the 4 at the bottom. And that guy got turned over, so we're putting him there. Okay, so you can see all the cards are laid out. Shift the light there a little bit. Right down to the verdict 4 cards at the bottom. So what I do next is I look at the theme cards. So those ones will get turned over, and I bring in the house underneath with the information on top. So the rider for some people represents things happening in the next day or so, which will be news coming towards the man. And I did say the man in this section of cards represents my husband. Now, Clover is fairly fortunate, so there will be some confusion maybe, but it will be fortunate, I hope, when it clears. And the ship can be news from people at a distance, foreigners. And that is not a nice card. That is the mice. So there's little irritations and things going on. Now this is just skimming really fast. And I'll have to come all the way back and do it week by week in order to understand it all. I'll look at this corner next. And that's in the House of Coffins. So I'm looking at what is ending. Because it's a child card, it could be something that I've started is about to transform or end. Now, on my sheet here, that corner is representing aspirations. So I have to keep that in consideration as I'm working. And just because we hope for something to end doesn't mean it is going to happen. Now I'm going to look at the center cards. There's talks about difficulties, something new developing in a group, something to do with a powerful person or a mother figure. Mine has passed, but she still influences things, and there's an estate settlement that still has to be finished up. And there is the mountain with the stars. Gonna have to come back to that one. And I do turn these bottom ones over here as well. There's the letter, and there's the rider. Now the other thing I do is try to, I'm not sure what they call it, it's in the book, it's well explained, but I will look at the rider, what's in the house, and start comparing cards that way. I'll look who's in the man's house. It's kind of a difficult process, but it does give nice sentences. And then I leave the verdict cards here. They don't get turned over. I'll go back to this corner here as an actual thing that will be happening. There's my ship in the moon. And we'll go to this corner. And in the ring corner, we have the house card. So that's interesting that there might be some contracts connected to a house. Very, very interesting. Now I'll try to get some more light in here. It's kind of difficult, especially at this distance, but you can see that this is a large undertaking, yes, but when you break it down to week by week, it's not so bad. And it gives you a chance to really dissect the cards and what's happening in your life each week so that you don't miss something. And now I'm going to show the other portion of this where we're going to turn over for the week the columns that are relevant. And as I say, it's good to sit and meditate on the houses they fall in, how they're chattering, directional stuff that goes on. And down here, the book. Now, the fox is never a friendly card to me. It's just me. I know some people look at it totally different, but the fox is usually something that's not right to me. And in the house of book, it's definitely information that there might be things going on behind the scenes. It's very much like a sneaky peek card to me. And right next to the house, that becomes a little bit personal and close. So there is my week that I will be looking at, and I'll zoom in. So that's what we've got. The man next to the clouds. Turn that off for a second, maybe there, that helped. The whip next to the scythe. Those are two difficult cards together. But then we have the sun and the heart down to the house and the fox. And if I go back out again, we'll look at the corners again. We have the child for aspirations. And we have the ship. So all in all, I'm going to be studying this first block. And that will be the very first week and work I will be looking at for July. I'll keep in the back of my mind the heart of the matter. I'll keep the theme in mind, but I'll just see how it all progresses. Now there's one other thing I want to show, and then I'll let you all go. Sorry, I'm trying to move the camera around so everybody gets to see. Now, this is just plexiglass, the underneath part. This is plexiglass for the top part. And what this does for me is to keep the cards safe. You know, sometimes you open a window, you don't want your cards to be blown away. And I can come back any time of the day and check on the cards and see if anything is making sense. Move that out of the light. And as I say, if you guys see anything here, in just my first week that we've got going over here, or the heart of the matter, let me know how the cards are talking to you. And let me know too if you actually do something like this with the Grand Tableau, breaking it down into the weeks. So I hope everybody can understand that. I hope it wasn't too confusing for you. And like most people out there, I'm learning. Even though I've been doing the Lenormand for a couple years now, I still get stumped. But I have a book, and I might pause now and show you that. Okay, just before I go, I thought I'd show you my little journal that I've put together for Lenormand. I did include the full set, the way some people like to lay it out. I marked a few pages in here for using the jokers as well, if I should be using playing cards to lay it out, which I'm not at this point. But, you know, it's fun to explore. This is using the old European decks with the bells, and some had feathers, and the hearts, bells, leaves, and acorns. And, you know, some of them people, the way they suggest that over here is the future. This is the hub. Little notes like that. If I wanted to do a 9-card spread, there's the information for that. And it's an Audubon book, so it's fun. It's colorful. And there's some other spreads that I can do with some beautiful pictures I can look at the same time. And cards with themes that offer info. I found that in a book, and so I recorded all of that. Yeah, that was from Donna Lay. And then when we get into here, I took actual cards and photocopies of Lenormand, and because I'm trying to learn also the cards that go along with them. If you want to read the playing cards and knowing the combinations with the rider, I found this to be quite helpful, because the insets on some of the decks that you get show the cards, and then some information that I can record about the 6 of diamonds from various books, and then finding the ones that suit me. And then on the back of the pages, I did combinations. Okay, if I got the child and the rider, what does that mean? Just ideas. Nothing's ever said. It's always good to use your intuition, but it's nice to have something when you're stalling to help yourself out. So just a cheap deck of playing cards, some photocopies, and then you can learn not only the Lenormand card, but the inserts as well. So this is my little deck and my journal, and at the back I did find another book that gave me ideas for questions to ask when working with each of the cards. And it's something that I come back to just like my tarot books. And when I get a hit and an insight and it's a yes, then it gets recorded, especially if there's 2 cards together. You're starting to see the patterns that emerge. And taking little clippings from magazines, because that's the garden. And there's a social event. It can be looked at it that way. Invites, high society, all that stuff. So that, you know, if I didn't have a photocopy of the garden card, then I found a picture to go with the playing card insert. So I've probably bored you guys silly by now. And I'm going to say, if you're having a long weekend, do enjoy yourself. I think it's going to be a nice day today. It's starting to warm up. And we'll catch you back here another day.